Good evening. Welcome to the Gresham-Barlow Board of Education regular board business meeting on Wednesday, November 6th. We will call this to order, and I believe, Sean, you are usually my one that does the Pledge of Allegiance, so would you do that? If you'd like to stand for that, we'll do that.
Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we have in attendance myself, Chris Howitt, Chair, Kathy Keithley, Vice Chair, Blake Peterson, Director, David Ligatich, Director, Holly Riegelman, Director, Dr. Myra Gomez, Director, Dr. Sean Farnes, Director, and James Hughes, Superintendent. So we do have a quorum. And with that, if I get a motion to approve the meeting agenda, please. I don't know of any other changes to the meeting agenda, so as presented.
I move to approve the meeting as presented.
Been moved by Holly, seconded by Kathy to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We have an agenda. First up, or next up is our land acknowledgement. Myra, do you want me to go first and do the? Our land acknowledgement this evening. We acknowledge the land where Gresham-Barlow School District is located rests on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, bands of the Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We also acknowledge the systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. As settlers and guests on these lands, we respect the work of Native nations, leaders, and families, and make ongoing efforts to center Indigenous knowledge, creativity, resilience, and resistance. We consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today. Thank you. Next up is our public comment. Time has been set aside on the agenda for citizens' requests of the board. This is an opportunity for the board to listen and learn from the community. Board members are not able to respond to public comments during the meeting, but appreciate hearing your input. Public comments can be submitted in writing before the meeting or given in person during the meeting. Pursuant to Oregon House Bill 256(3)(a), the meeting of the Gresham-Barlow School Board will be presented online to allow for virtual public attendance at the meeting. If you are a member of the community and wish to provide a written public comment, use the citizens' comments of the board form and email your comments to the board secretary, Sarah Avery, by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting. If anyone in the audience wishes to address the board in person this evening, there are yellow citizens' requests of the board forms on the table in the back of the room. Please complete a form and give it to the board secretary, Mrs. Avery. We received two that were submitted in writing. We received one from Bill Martin and one from Juani Santiago. And then we also have one that was submitted this evening. And did I give that one to you? Okay. And we received one this evening from Jeremiah Hickman from Damascus Middle School. Jeremiah, are you in the audience this evening?
Yes.
If you'd like to come forward and present, please.
Sure.
Thank you. So when you come up, state your name for us, please.
I'm a gym teacher, so if I'm loud, feel free to tell me to quiet down. My wife does when I get home. My name is Jeremiah Hickman. I'm a teacher and athletic coordinator at Gresham-Barlow Middle School. Glad to be here. Glad to share a positive report from the expanded opportunity of middle school volleyball that we had this last season. This is 2 years now that we've been able to offer a volleyball season for middle school kids. I can't speak of every detail for all the middle schools, but I know that every middle school experienced growth in the number of kids that were participating, the number of teams that they had. For Gresham-Barlow, we had a total of 70 students and 4 teams participating this last fall. That did mean that we had 2 teams that had over 20 students, which creates some challenging issues. I'm going to bring up a suggestion on that later, but our coaches did a fabulous job bringing their best to make it a positive experience for every student. Many students who would not normally put themselves in front of a crowd to play a sport did that, and they stepped up, learned a lot, and had a lot of fun. Volleyball brings team building, important athletic development, and the benefit of structure to a learning environment. And I think it's a really great sport to be able to offer to both boys and girls at the middle school level. And we should definitely keep that going and hopefully be able to do more in the years to come. One suggestion I would like to add is to structure the program in the years to come with a 6th grade only team, then have 7th and 8th grade varsity, and then 2 JV teams. That would keep the teams a little bit smaller. We actually had a situation in our small gym where we probably had over 225 people in the gym. Both teams that were playing were over 25. And we had students that really were overcome by that many people watching them in a game, and made a mistake in the game and left the court emotionally. So coaches did a great job trying to work through that, but it was that huge number that brought a different challenge than we were expecting. So things we can do to maybe spread out the teams a little more would be great. But overall, the last 2 years of volleyball have done great things. I had a conversation with Ty Gonrosky, the athletic director at Gresham High School, in early September this year, and he said that they had over 70 girls come out for Gresham High School volleyball this last fall. And he said a really interesting thing. He said it was like they had gained enough confidence to put themselves into a challenging activity like that and step up and do that. And isn't that what we want our students to do? Gain confidence through experiences to put themselves in a maybe slightly uncomfortable place, trying to better themselves. And for some, it won't always be sports, but for some, it'll be theater, it'll be music, it'll be band, it'll be speech, it'll be other club leadership positions. But gaining that confidence at the middle school level, I think, is so important. In addition, I would like to make one other suggestion that can allow us to expand those opportunities to our younger 6th graders. And this was something that we piloted at Gresham-Barlow last year. We call them skill sessions, and they're perhaps 1 day a week, fitting into the gyms when the gym is not being used for another sports opportunity. But teachers, coaches, other staff members were willing to stay an extra hour on that day, invite 6th graders specifically to come and get specific training or activity time around basketball and volleyball, structured practice time. And it, obviously for a lot of these kids, they missed that as elementary students because we couldn't offer that even at the community level. So these skill sessions were awesome to get kids interested. Every time we did it, and we did about a dozen of them, we had 20 to 25 kids or more. It took a little bit of extra, or maybe I'll say creative budgeting to offer that, to have teachers step forward and help us with that. But I think it paid dividends on helping our sixth graders get comfortable in the building. We have these great gyms. We wanted to use them, and we're now seeing those sixth graders as seventh graders participating in what we're offering this year. Good things are happening in our middle school sports programs. And that's to, the effort of our coaches, our staff, and some community members that are stepping in. I think we need to keep it going and growing. So thank you.
We received online comments from two people, Bill Martin and Juani Santiago, and without my glasses. So Bill Martin, apparently you are here this evening. So if you'll state your name.
My name is Bill Martin. I'm a terminated San Barlow High School science teacher. That was in June 5th, 17th. I'll mention that one again. I'm just here to go over some of the, I guess I don't understand why you won't follow your own board policy. Policy BBF, Board Members Standard of Conduct. A board member shall respect the right of school patrons and employees to be heard and at noticed meetings. Within the provisions of board policy, I was denied in April the ability to speak in public. I was an employee. The second point is make decisions only after all the available facts bearing on a question have been presented and discussed. I believe during my termination hearing at about the 34 minute mark, questions weren't allowed about my employment situation or the bond fraud that I turned in. So those are clear policies that you have. My question is, will you follow them? And also, I know you can't respond at this moment, but if someone would send me an email that they accepted the complaint. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Juani Santiago, if you are in the room, and if you go ahead and take your spot and then just hang on for just a second. Good evening, Ms. Santiago. I just need to get a little bit of clarification with your letter that you did submit to us, which we have read. And I just need to ask you to be very careful about not calling out by name the person that's in there. I realize that there is a name that's in here, but I do need you to not use that name because we don't take public comment with an employee's name in it. So, but with that, go ahead, and if I happen to do this, it means maybe not. So, all right.
I'll keep it short.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much
thank
for
you.
your time. I just want to speak about my experience at Gresham High School and the principal there right now at this moment. So I have a written statement I'm going to read. My first year as connection coordinator at Gresham High School was one of the most challenging of my career. I witnessed firsthand how the very system and individuals who were placed in position to support student success often contributed to feelings of alienation among our marginalized students. It was heartbreaking to see them struggle for a sense of belonging to the point of feeling pushed out of their own schools. This left me disappointed and disheartened. In my role, I work closely with students who a few staff members fear or have called dangerous, the same students they're meant to serve. Surprisingly, I've never felt unsafe around them or scared. However, I did occasionally feel unwelcome, not from the students, but from very few staff members. Last year, after I spoke up about the vote of no confidence, it wasn't one of those dangerous, scary students, but rather a staff member who made me feel unwelcome. They unlocked the door that faces the hallway, then walked across an empty office space to get to my office door, and decided to take one of my pictures that I had on my door, a welcome picture. This one. They should have thrown the other one away. but they decided to go ahead and throw it into the trash can. I know it was a staff member because it required someone with a key. It was always locked and knowledge of my office location. Despite all these challenges, the principal helped me see that there are still many people who genuinely care and are dedicated to students. They stood up as someone who is truly committed to our students' well-being. After my first expulsion experience, the principal came to my office to talk. She expressed her regret about the situation and shared how much they hated having to make those tough decisions. It was the part of the job they disliked the most. Her empathy for that student was evident, and that was just one of the many moments when that principal and the rest of the admin team showed their unwavering dedication to putting students first. So it's been very heartbreaking to hear rumors suggesting that the admin team at GHS didn't care or were inactive during the September incident, because that's all they were, rumors. It saddens me to see some staff members exploit students' genuine fears and use that for their own agendas, rather than truly prioritizing their well-being. With so much division already surrounding us, we should be coming together as one team to keep our students safe, not creating even more division among us. I'd like to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to the principal for their many years of dedication and hard work. Oftentimes, their tireless efforts that are behind the scene, including those long hours spent at school away from their family, go unnoticed. I think as a community, I don't think we fully recognize how kind and caring of a person we lost. I wish them nothing but the best in their future endeavors. And I'll end with this. While some might frame this situation as a win or a loss, the reality is that in the end, no one truly came out ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. Okay. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved in one motion. If anyone needs to have discussion of any of the consent agenda items, they would be removed from the consent agenda and placed onto the agenda. Included in the consent agenda are the minutes from the special work session October 2nd, minutes from the public hearing October 2nd, minutes from the regular business meeting October 2nd, minutes from the regular work session October 16th, minutes from the special work session October 19th, minutes from the special work session October 28th, the monthly financial report as of 9/30/2024, personnel report of employee contracts, and a policy update. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
It's been moved by Blake, seconded by David to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That passes. Next up is a recognition for the 2024 Oregon Science Teachers Association. Dr. Klinger. There you go.
Thank you. The Oregon Science Teachers Association, or OSTA, recognizes outstanding teachers for motivating student achievement and excitement in science. This commitment to science education provides students with important skills and knowledge while developing their science identities and influences their plans beyond high school. Cyrus Harshfield, science teacher at Gresham High School, is the recipient of the 2024 OSTA Outstanding Classroom Teacher Award for the East Metro Region. And in the nomination for this award, his colleague, Stephen Scannell, shared these things about him. I'm not going to make you stand up, Cyrus, while I read this. We'll have him come up for a photo op at the end. So this is what Steve had to say about Cyrus. If teaching were a sport, Cyrus Harshfield would be known as a top-rated utility player, seamlessly taking on multiple roles. He excels in the science classroom, most recently as a chemistry and AP Willamette Promise chemistry teacher. Cyrus has worked diligently to implement the 10th grade chemistry curriculum, ensuring it is accessible, engaging, and relevant to students. Through hands-on learning and experimentation, he fosters minds-on activities where students actively engage and reflect on their learning. He's committed to providing equitable opportunities for all students. But wait, there's more. Outside the classroom, Cyrus is involved in the broader school community, coaching boys tennis and serving as the voice of Gresham High School, announcing football and basketball games. In 2023, he became a Bezos Scholar, mentoring a GHS student who designed and implemented a social justice project at a local middle school. A longtime teacher leader, Cyrus also supports colleagues as a department chair, a mentor, and a union leader, and as someone who continues to pursue opportunities for professional growth. Cyrus Harshfield exemplifies what it means to be an outstanding science educator. So please help me recognize Cyrus and embarrass him a little to come on up and have a little photo op, but let's congratulate him.
My kids were blessed with having both Mr. Harshfield and Mr. Scannell as their science teachers. So that was a very moving thing that Mr. Scannell did. And thank you again, and congratulations to Mr. Harshfield. Next up is update from the superintendent and district leadership. Superintendent Hugh.
Thank you, Chair Howitt. October 2024 was yet another busy month in the Gresham-Barlow School District, as our high schools were busily involved in extracurricular, co-curricular activities and sports. Middle schools were involved in our after-school programming, out-of-school time activities. Our elementary schools were involved in beginning of the year activities, engaged with our community. We also just completed our fall key communicators meetings. We had 5 of them this year. Basically, we talked to our community, to our staff about Being Here initiative. We talked about our long-range facilities plan process and our safety and security upgrades from the bond. We discussed the school-based health center being completed and the update on the superintendent search. And finally, we had opportunities for our community and staff to ask questions of district leadership team. On October 29th, we had our safety summit at Gordon Russell Middle School from 6 to 8 o'clock, and we will share a little bit more information as that is an information item on tonight's agenda. I also would like to congratulate Cyrus Harshfield, longtime Gresham High School science teacher, on his award. Cyrus, you've been a leader in the school district for many years, so congratulations on the award. And then finally, I would like to ask Dr. Sarah DuBois to come forward, who is our Director of K-12 Schools. She's going to talk to you about capital improvements and give us an update on our turf fields. Dr. DuBois.
Good evening, Chair Howitt and board members. This is very brief, but I wanted to let you all know the great news that our turf fields and our lights are complete at Gresham High School, completely installed, now just waiting for training and warranties. And the light poles for Sam Barlow, the very last thing for us to do, are being put into place today and tomorrow, so anticipated to be finished by the end of the week. It's very exciting. I don't know how many of you have been able to go and see them, but they're absolutely beautiful. And just incredible kudos to our facilities department and all of the people that worked on them to make them just perfect for our students to enjoy for many years. So just a happy update for those capital improvements. Thank you.
And that is the end of my report.
So next up are updates from, updates from board members. And I think we'll start down here at this end with Director Ligatich.
I had the opportunity to visit Highland Elementary School and participate in their peace assembly as well as their peace march around the community homes. This is annually and the homeowners know about it. It was pretty awesome because they were out on their lawns, the ones that could be there cheering the kids on. Principal Mangus took me on a tour of the school. I learned a lot. This is a dual language school with 60% of the school are Spanish and English speaking. I had no clue. Kids do come from outside the normal boundaries, even as far as Damascus. This, as well as the principal, teachers, and staff make for an amazing environment for the children. Where one may step back when going to a predominantly English-speaking school, these children thrive as they fit in, and I saw it. It was pretty awesome. I had no idea as a school district, we had a school with opportunities like this. This also helps with attendance as the students truly love being there and it shows. I wanted to thank Principal Mingus, the staff, and the teachers who were more than inviting to me. You can really tell they love their jobs and their students at that school.
Thank you. Holly, Director Riegelman.
I'm just taking some notes what I did because I did not prepare for a board report. So I am busy always with my own kids who are in our schools. And so I am at our schools all the time. I have been to some of those middle school volleyball games that Jeremiah talked about. I don't know if he's still here. There he's, and it was really fun to see those. My daughter participated. And so I've been to all of the schools in our district that participated, and it was a lot of fun to see those. I also went to a high school volleyball playoff game week or two ago at Barlow, which they won. I attended the safety summit at Gordon Russell Middle School, and tomorrow and Friday, I will be in Newburgh for the men's and women's water polo playoff games. So that's a few of the things. There's, I'm sure, others that I'm missing, but it's been a busy month.
All right. Director Keithley.
Let's see, I went to the Barlow girls, the women's Barlow volleyball game and saw them win. And also did the mock interviews at Gresham-Barlow. And I just I really appreciate Mr. Hickman's comments, particularly about the confidence level of the students, because in both situations, it's not what the kids know, it's how confident they are in sharing information about themselves. And so I'm really happy to hear the middle school sport program doing exactly that. Even at the high school level, when the young women were being called out for being the state, on the state first team and all of that, you can see, you know, on the court, they're just, you know, hitting the ball and commanding the presence. And then when they're called up, you can see them kind of revert back into their, just a little bit of their timidness. And so it is a process, and everything we can do, especially programs like that, are going to help. I did attend the safety summit, and I think the most important thing that I took from that is the ability to sit and listen to our community members, because we don't get a chance to do that very often and actually, you know, ask questions. The most important thing was that the district, and we've talked about this as a board, gave out a handout that clearly defined what all these things are that are happening, whether it's a secure and what it is, and what the, you know, community can expect from that, and a lockdown. That's incredibly important information, because it allows our community members, parents, and families to take control of rumors when you hear it, that if you have more information about what it means, then you can help, you know, squash that. So it was a really great evening.
Thank you. So I also was able to attend the mock interviews out at San Barlow. I thought I was going to go out there for a couple of interviews, and I think I wound up staying out there for 3 hours. It was actually amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Barlow still confuses me because I went there, nothing is in the same place anymore. Happy Diwali, the Hindu festival, was the end of October, and Festival of Lights. I've been involved in bargaining, I think, forever with Cyrus. Forever, but we're getting close. And we've been working on our superintendent process as well. So you saw those meeting notes. That's what's going on with that. Oregon School Board Association is having their annual convention this weekend, as well as the Legislative Road Show. So I will bring back some information about that. And let's see, two other things. On October 31st, we had the annual Main Street Trick or Treat event, which is always a blast. Even if you don't have kids, you should still come down and do that. I will give you candy if you show up at my door. Duncan gave you candy. I saw that. He did give you candy. We get about 2,000 to 3,000 people who come downtown, and it was raining very hard that night. But it is a blast to see the families come, the kids come, quite a variety of costumes this time. And my husband did dress in costume that night as well. So we had a great time with that. Just a reminder too, we're getting into play season. And I believe I got it right this time. Beauty and the Beast is going to be at Gresham High School. Yes. And Hadestown, the teen version, will be at Barlow High School. I need to get to Beauty and the Beast because I'm curious if any of the costumes I made last time they did it are going to be used again. So put those on your calendar. They're coming up in November. And with that, that is my board report. Is back in? Okay.
I only forgot one thing, and that was your reminder about the superintendent search, that there is a survey out. And so we encourage everyone to participate in that. And I believe it's open until November 22nd.
Thank you. All right, Myra.
Let's see, Jeremiah, thanks for sharing the information about volleyball. My niece played volleyball at Dexter, and now she's playing at the GHS team. So thanks for that. And I do agree that we should keep supporting our middle school sports, as Holly has mentioned several times as well. Attended the safety summit. I had the opportunity to sit with our Spanish speaking community. We had 5 tables, so very well represented, and I really enjoyed sitting with them and hearing their concerns and learning with them as well. I was a guest speaker at GHS in my Miss Armstrong's class, and that was always it's always a pleasure to visit Gresham High, and it also reminded me of how important it is to not focus all the time on curriculum. We never get through all the standards. I know that, so it's nice to just build community with kids and provide a safe space for kids to express their feelings and just get to know each other and share their stories and lived experiences. And I attended the Dia de los Muertos celebration last Friday at the Arts Plaza with Representative Ricky Rees and Kathy Gaway. She is board member in North Clackamas, and Ana Munoz from Reynolds. It was just really fun. The ofrenda was huge. If you didn't get to see it, you can see it in the Outlook. And tomorrow at OSBA with some of our leadership team members. I didn't want John to go, but I hear he's going. So, but I'm looking forward to learning together and bringing back information.
Blake?
I got to drop in on a few school activities. Went and got to see our girls soccer team compete. Not sure what the outlook is looking like right now, but they are in their second round playoff play right now as we speak. You know, as a dad of a young soccer player, it's always outstanding to me the quality of our high school students as role models, and that exists there. And congratulations to Coach Jay and the success that he's had at that program with those girls. I got to attend Barlow's choir concert, which is outstanding. Again, just highlighting the excellence of our students, and also just a shout out to the feeder programs that produce such talented kids in that program. Also was at Safety Summit. I got to sit at a table with Hogan Cedars Elementary parents showing up in force. What a great community to sit with. A couple of Gordon Russell parents as well. I so admire the dedication of these families to look collaboratively for solutions with us. I want to thank everybody who made it to the physical one, and I know that there were a lot of people tuning in after the fact. So, and then lastly, sort of disconnected from our schools, but very much involved in the lives of our students. I got to see a show at the East Side Theater Company, which performs on Highway 26. Outstanding performance of Bye Bye Birdie. They are performing this weekend as well. We've got a lot of East County kids, including some Gresham-Barlow students involved in that production, and they always do such a great job. I highly recommend that. Finally, happy Veterans Day. Hope everybody enjoys November 11th. Remember Armistice Day that originated it. an unlikely piece forged in 1918, and something that we can look to and admire today in our present times. And finally, I don't think it's premature congratulations to Director Keithley for her success at last night's election to become one of our next city councilors.
Thank you. And Sean?
So I participated in the interim superintendent interviews we held a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. I don't know. Time's been going by quick. Due to family obligations, I was unable to attend the safety summit, but I do know that there's going to be upcoming reports. So I look forward to hearing about it. I did read about it in the newspaper and the social media stuff that the district has put out. So I was able to attend both the Barlow girls and boys soccer. Appreciate the boys soccer kind of taking in Spencer and making him one of their own and letting him do the ball boy, getting them out on the field on the last soccer game and walking out one of the players, for the senior day. That was pretty cool. And I do want to congratulate, of course, the girls who are playing today, but the boys have not made the playoffs in over 13 years, and they made it this year. Went to the volleyball playoffs, saw several football games, and went and saw the Westo volleyball play the 7th grade. And I have to say, Jeremiah, your report, almost brought me to tears, because everything that I was envisioning, participating in the middle school sports committee was said in that. And I'm glad to see that everything is happening the way that I had wanted it to. And I hope the committee meets again this year, and that we can look at, keeping and hopefully expanding opportunities, maybe even adding in other sports for next year. Super stoked about the turf fields. Every time I drive by Gresham-Barlow, I see the community out there. And that was the purpose of the turf fields, is to have greater community involvement in our schools. It's great to see.
All right, thank you. Next up is a update on, let me get to here, the Safety Summit overview. As has been said a couple of times, they held a Safety Summit on October 29th at Gordon Russell Middle School, and Superintendent Hugh will give us an update on that, as well as with your team, right? Okay.
Thank you, Chair Howitt. So as it was stated earlier, we had a school safety summit on October 29th at Gordon Russell Middle School. We had over 150 community members there. I wanted to thank our community and certainly our leadership team, our administrators from the buildings, and many district staff for helping to facilitate the different tables. It was a great partnership with the Gresham Police Department, as well as many others. And so I'm going to ask Mr. Cook, our Chief of Operations and Schools, to update us on the summit. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Superintendent Hugh. Can you guys all hear me at this point? No? Now can you hear me? Okay. We'll advance to the second slide. As most of you know, because you were able to be there, so this will be a quick overview tonight. It was students, staff, families, and the board administrators building administrators and district administrators attended. There are about 150 people total. And we discussed the challenges, shared ideas, and identified questions throughout the process. Part one was bond upgrades and a reminder of what was done with the bond, which the community gifted us that money in 2016, and it has paid huge dividends. We went over the standard response protocols that Director Keithley reviewed just before, so that parents could understand that information. And then we overviewed our incident response at the district level and how we support buildings when things happen and how often we get the opportunity to practice that, which is almost weekly. Also, Chief Goldberg came to demonstrate our positive partnership with the police. He shared information about that partnership and where we are with school resource officers also, and took a few questions then. Part three was not showing up. There we go. Wow. I promise I'm not doing that. Okay. Part 3 were presentations from Safe Oregon. Lisa Miller, who works for OSP, she's a data analyst, came and with her partner, and her name is escaping me, so I apologize for that. And the district attorney in the juvenile division came to speak as well, Miss Molina. So they were part of the process also. And Miss Molina really wanted to be involved simply because she hasn't been able to connect with the community as much, and this was her opportunity. And we're hoping to continue to build that relationship also. Oh, there we go. Then we broke into breakout groups. There were 3 facilitated questions, and district administrators facilitated that discussion. And I believe all the board members present were part of a group yourselves. So the 3 questions were, what ideas do you have for the GBSD leadership to support student safety? We asked, what can parents in the community do? Because this is a partnership and a collaborative one. And then what questions do you have? In that, there were over 400 comments that we have gathered in spreadsheets we've started to analyze. There have been only 25 responses to the follow-up survey, and that was as of 2 days ago when I prepared this presentation, so there may be a little bit more. And 2 days ago. Several themes around school safety measures have been emerging, and we're using AI to get those themes also, which is really effective and time-saving. And then we are going to have a list of frequently asked questions. And I believe right now there's about 14 frequently asked questions that we can put answers to and then publish on the website once we get those answers completed. Of course, there'll be more follow-up once the details come, because these are emerging trends, and how do we address those trends so that you can have those? And that's all been preliminary work that really started late last week and early into this week. And I'll turn it back to Superintendent Hugh for his next steps slide.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Our next steps is really to look at the emerging themes and having a follow-up discussion with you as a board. About 10 emerging themes are coming forward, so we're looking forward to having that discussion in an upcoming work session. And based on that upcoming conversation, it helps to give the district leadership team some understanding of where to move next. The second thing we're going to do is, again, answer the questions and answers, the 14 questions, and get that posted as soon as we can on our district website. And then the third next step is to really schedule a future follow-up safety summit, because we heard loud and clear from our community where this is a great start, but we need to continue to keep having conversations and talking about the challenges and opportunities for us to collaborate and come together and provide some solutions to some of the challenges that are out there. So this is a necessary and first step in this process, but we wanted to make sure that after the safety summit, which happened about a week ago, that we were able to then come back and share it publicly and let folks know what next steps would be. So we're open for any questions from the board, but again, you were there and you participated. So if there's anything that we can answer, we're certainly happy to do that. Or, at the next board work session, either in November or December, we will certainly have a more robust conversation on the themes.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, no? Thank you. Looking forward to more information. Thank you. Next up is the Nutrition Services Annual Report. Chartwells is our nutrition services provider, and Tracy McDougall, come on down.
Well, good evening, Chair Howard, Board, and Superintendent Hugh. I'd like to update you on where we've been since we've been back here in February when we gave our last update. We've settled in really well, and I think you'll see some things that you'll, which one? Red one? Oh, there it is. So tonight I want to focus on 5 main topics, our food, our student experience, our environment, our employees, and then also on our financial results. So So our food, we continue to focus on minimally processed and fresh and locally grown product. And we've really challenged our staff to really take pride in what they're doing. And Mike Ito has stepped up to the plate at Barlow and really taken that program and ran with it. That bowl right up there between the fresh and the local is his Korean pork bowl that he put on his specialty plate one day, and the students are absolutely loving what he's doing up there. Our salad bars are always fresh with lots of local produce and ready to roll. And then these are also some other examples of the products that you'll see our students eating. Next up is our student experience, and we've really gotten out and started talking to the students a lot. And one of which that we rolled out last spring was our Global Eats program, where we take it into the elementary and the students have an opportunity to taste food from different cultures. This happened to be a Korean no, excuse me, it's an Indian meatball that they were trying that day at Hogan Cedars. And then up at the top is another program that we have. It's called Mood Boost. And again, it's in the elementaries, and it really talks about the foods that you eat have an impact on how you feel and affects your mood in that. And so that day we were out at, well, we were so at East Orient and also at North Gresham, but cantaloupe makes you happy. And so they got to go out and meet with the chefs and talk to them, a lot of interaction. With those, there's also a learning and a fun component. So we also have little handouts that we give. We usually give them out to the teachers so that they can take them back to the classrooms, but like a crossword or something to learn about that culture a little bit more, or about that food in a coloring page. We have had the opportunity to get the food truck out a couple times, and one of which was to really roll out Burger Day in September. We rolled out a new concept at both of the high schools, at Gresham and at Barlow, where they get to have choices of cheese and toppings, and we homemade sauces to put on their burgers. So we rolled the food truck over to Springwater and to Cal, and they had a Burger Day out of the food truck. The picture that kind of got changed when I changed it over to format and went to its side was on Tuesday. Not only did parents get out and vote on Tuesday, but so did the students in the elementary. They got to vote on their favorite entree. Had a great time. We're still tabulating the votes. We gave them 5 choices to choose from. I heard pizza and chicken nuggets are in the top running so far, but we'll see where that comes out. Maybe spaghetti. Chef Danielle would prefer spaghetti. Our next component is our environments, and I wanted to share with you, we partnered with our facilities team this summer and we were quite busy. So the list here that you're looking at is all of the new equipment or the remodels that we worked on and have completed, and we have more to come, but these are some great things and we've seen great results from it. And Terry and his group has done some great work. And as to share what the results really look like, here's a picture of Dexter McCarty. Now, if you've ever been into Dexter, I think it was built in the late 60s with a nice bright green floor. It was dark. And there was an extra wall there that prevented like the administration to see the students. As you see in that first picture, the green floor is gone. We didn't save it like the Portland airport, but it's gone. We've taken out the built-in line that didn't have warmers to keep the food warm, and we've replaced them with mobile lines so we can adjust as the students' needs adjust to serving the food. And we've taken participation there. Last year was at 47% of the population participated daily to 54. So it's had a great impact on the students and the meals and the staff. I mean, you can't be sad when you go into that bright place. Another school that we did an aggressive remodel on is Powell Valley. If you were up there last year, that white wall that you see in the back was a nice 1970s paneling. And again, it had a built-in line, which we took out and we put in those mobile carts. Again, we changed out the lighting there. It's bright, it's great. The participation went from 56% to 64%. And at Gordon Russell, we've replaced a lot of equipment, which is really helping the cooks do a lot of scratch cooking. At Gordon Russell, we installed 2-burner stoves, so they actually have that. That piece of equipment in the middle is called a tilt skillet, so we can braise, we can saute, we can stir fry, and then a brand new steamer as well. Even with that, our participation went from 56% last year to 61% this year. So great results and return on the money on that one. Our employees are our biggest asset that we have because they're face fronting into our students every day. And so we want to make sure that they're happy and really feeling appreciated. So every year, May 7th is National School Lunch Workers Day. And so we presented them all with a staff a t-shirt going along with our little puns theme. Being a school lunch hero means I'm the zest. And it had a nice lemon on. So not only that's our East Gresham team up there. So not only did we appreciate them, but all of those cards that are either taped on that window or sitting up above are cards from their students. And so they got loved from them as well. Every month, we recognize 1, 2, maybe multiple, a whole team, in what's called our Cheers program. And that way we have a big megaphone. If we happen to be in the schools, it wouldn't be surprised to find me walking in with a megaphone and calling out their name. And so everybody can see and hear that we're here to recognize them. So that's Elizabeth. She's at Kelly Creek. She really has picked up a new program there as well. We now have a pre-K that we do in the portables, and so she's added on another program, really outstanding. And then the team at the end is our Highland team. They too have picked up, they're delivering to our Arthur School. Those have really, and they're here because they were nominated by a teacher. One day they saw the teacher out digging in the trash, wanted to know what's up. Well, a student had put their cochlear implant on their tray and then threw it into the trash. And if you don't know, that's a hearing device that cuts lots of money. So this team jumped in without even being asked, dug through the trash until they found that cochlear implant. So, so we definitely had to recognize them. Chef Danielle, who most of you have met, she is really knocking it out of the block with the staff as well. She has menu meetings, wants to know what they're getting their feedback and, you know, what's working for them. And then a team on the left or the very far there is a team that has really come together and really is functioning as a team. And that's our Barlow team. And to see why we are praising our Barlow team a little bit is when we step into our financials. And this is our October lunch counts. Now, this year we have moved from 6 schools not being CEP, which means community eligibility, where every student would eat free, to the entire district being CEP and everybody eating free. So when you look at this and you look at the daily average participation on these, the blue slide didn't get corrected on this one, but the blues are the 2023 and the red is the 2024. So the ones that you see the biggest spikes in, so like Deep Creek and East Orient and West Orient and Barlow, those are ones that came off of being paid meals. And so those are eating for free. So you see the huge impact. I do have to give a shout out. I challenged the Barlow team to get to 800 sometime this year. Normally last year they were running about 450. Mike laughed at me, but I got to present him with a Keurig just 2 weeks ago when he hit 600. And then yesterday, he's on his way to, they're on their way to 700. They want a catered meal from a restaurant. They hit 623 the other day. But we're also seeing that in a lot of other programs as well, like East Orient. We gave them a bag of about a big basket of candy when they reached, they hit 211 today, and that's a huge jump for them. But we've also picked up some programs. We are now serving Lewis and Clark Montessori School as well at all 3 of their sites. So we service the primary out of Springwater, and then we deliver the food out of Hollydale over to Lewis and Clark Elementary, and then they take it on to Mac. With CEP, our Arthur program, which we served lunch in the past, is now picked up breakfast. And then, like I said, we have a pre-K program that we've added out at Kelly Creek as well. So that's what we've done, but where do we need to go? The next thing that we're doing is yesterday, Chef Danielle and I got the opportunity to meet with a student group at Gresham High School and really talk to them about, what do they like about their lunches? What do they want? What do they want to see? They're going to be helping us roll out a program on December 9th. It's called Student Choice, where Chef Danielle will take 2 different concepts that we're not currently serving, and students will get to sample both of those concepts, and then they will vote with tokens as to which ones they would like to see on the menu. So we'll get those included on January. This month, we'll be rolling our Discovery Kitchen into the middle schools, where they'll have an opportunity to talk about, making things from scratch. We always have a Discovery Kitchen theme, and this month, it is let's get cooking. So Chef Danielle's going to show them how to make like a pumpkin bar. And when we're not out in the schools, we have 2 audits that are going on, or state audits that are going on right now. And so we'll be doing one for our school lunch and one for our supper and snack program. We're looking to really involve more cultural menu choices starting in January on our menus. And that's really driven by what the student comments are. And then we'll continue along the line with our equipment upgrades. And so more schools can participate with that. And with that, what questions can I answer for you?
Any questions from the board? I need to go out and have school lunch sometime.
You're always welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. It does have us going to a recess right now. Should we just keep going for a little bit? And if we need a recess later, but let's just keep on going. So next up is just 2 information items. The District Equity Committee meeting, there's 2 words. From September 19th, it's just the information, likewise from the October 24th meeting as well. And then we have association reports from the Gresham-Barlow Education Association. Good evening.
Am I on? Yep. Okay. Good evening, Chair Howard and members of the school board. My name is Tracy Jackson, and I am GBEA Vice President of Elementary, in addition to being a 2nd grade teacher at Hall Elementary. This evening, I would like to address ongoing concerns the union has in regard to the district's view on caseload and class size caps. Over the last 2 years, you've heard repeatedly during association reports and public comment about the concerns in regard to safety, the frequency of disrupted learning, inadequate support in our special education programs, and the untenable workload placed upon teachers. We've heard from dozens of teachers that the current workload is not sustainable. Every year, we lose teachers not only to retirement, but to other districts or other professions entirely. We know that meaningful instruction is difficult to achieve when there are high class sizes in the best scenarios. But when a high percentage of students struggle with trauma, emotional regulation, and maintaining safe bodies, it becomes impossible. Research supports caps to caseloads and class sizes. Yet, with this in mind, knowing the special education caseloads were already unmanageable, the decision was made at the district level to eliminate the IEP writing specialist positions and task the overburdened building special education teachers with these additional responsibilities, adding hours and stress to their already intense work weeks. In addition, and despite the reality of the current caseloads and the considerable academic and social and emotional needs of today's classrooms, The district has refused to give any response to GBEA's request to bargain for caseload and class size caps during the 9 months of negotiation. They continue to turn a blind eye to the problem and willfully ignore the existence of the bargaining proposals, as they have done for the last 3 contracts over nearly 6 years. Tonight, I'm asking the board to encourage the district team to meet us at the bargaining table over this issue. If the mission of the Gresham-Barlow School District is truly to inspire and empower each student, then it must also commit to establishing environments where that is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. This evening, we do not have a report from the OSEA Association. Their representative is out ill this evening, so we will hear from them. We'll get 2 reports next month. We come next to our first action item. And this is around something that the board members mentioned recently that we spent a lot of time with. The Board of Directors declared a vacancy for the interim superintendent position at their September 4, 2024 board business meeting. The position was posted and the board received a pool of highly qualified leaders. The board held candidate interviews on October 28th, 2024, and this evening we will be moving to approve the interim superintendent contract for Mr. John Cook. So if I could get a motion for that, and then we'll clap and do all that good stuff. So
I'll move to approve the interim superintendent contract for John Cook to serve as interim superintendent from January 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
been moved by Blake, seconded by David to approve the interim superintendent contract for John Cook to serve as interim superintendent from January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Welcome aboard. Superintendent Hugh.
Thank you, Chair Howitt. I wanted to offer my congratulations to my colleague and Chief Operations of Schools, John Cook, for being selected by our Board of Directors to serve as interim superintendent for the Gresham-Barlow School District. Your 33 years of dedication and commitment to the students, staff, and our school district communicate in our community. Your extensive experience in the district and commitment to continuity of leadership will surely benefit the district as you step into the role of interim superintendent. I look forward to the upcoming weeks to work alongside you as we transition you into the chair of superintendent. Mr. Cook, during your time in the district, you have been a staunch advocate of students and a huge support for our district leadership team. I have full confidence that you will continue to lead with excellence as a systems thinker and approach and a collaborator and partner to the students and the staff within the district. Congratulations.
So, yeah, absolutely. Did you want to say something? Or John wants to? Oh, did you want to say something, Mr. Cook? All right, then, yes, yes.
I do want to say, I understand the contract and the timeline in that contract, and I'm really glad it's a short timeline. So I want to make sure that's clear. But I also want to, on a serious note, extend my gratitude because I know this is a difficult decision for all of you. And there's a lot that rides on it. I'm also honored by the opportunity and committed to working collaboratively with all of you and the dedicated staff in this district and the broader community to continue this vision. I also deeply recognize the responsibility the role carries, and I'll work tirelessly to support our schools and community to ensure we maintain a strong focus on providing a quality education for every student. I'm also excited about the opportunity to carry things forward to help transition for a new, more permanent superintendent. And I do want you to understand that I value and am humbled by the decision and the trust that you've put into me, and I do not take that for granted. So thank you very much. All right.
Thank you. Next up is Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS, grant acceptance, and this has Mr. Cook's name on that.
Thank you again, Sharon. Is Mike back here? Because I'm going to rely on him. There, good. All right. I'll read it to you. The Department of Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS, is a U.S. Department of Justice component. Each year, COPS offers grant opportunities to government agencies, nonprofits, local law enforcement, institutions of higher ed, and local government including school districts. For the past 2 years, we have applied for a grant under the School Violence Prevention Program, SVPP, to improve security at and on school grounds by upgrading our software programs and technology. The SVPP is a competitive award program designed to provide funding to improve security at schools and on school grounds through evidence-based school safety programs and technology. On September 30th, 2024, we were awarded $306,095 with a required matching amount of $102,032. The matching funds will be taken from energy funds and shouldn't impact the general fund. COPS requires that the grant be accepted by November 11th, 2024. Specifically, we propose using the funds to replace the camera and door access system software to integrate these systems. Leftover funds will be used for other security upgrades, including possible gun detection software. So I'm open for questions, and so is Mike.
All right, so this will be an action item. Are there clarifying questions before we get to the motion? Did you have something, Mr. Bill? Okay. There we go, Sean.
With the safety summit in mind, did you take some of the recommendations that you're hearing to develop this plan for the cameras and the guns?
No, the grant was, we had to turn it in long before the safety summit. So I think Mike turned it in over the summer. So that wasn't taken into consideration. And to be honest directly, this is really a behind the scenes software upgrade that we need to do to integrate camera systems and other things so that they are working seamlessly together.
David.
Can either you or Mike kind of give us an idea of what that software looks like to detect the weapons?
Oh, you mean, oh, geez. That one I think I can handle and you can come. Okay. AI has advanced quickly, as we all know. There are now software programs out there that have the ability to detect guns and other weapons in real time and send messages. That would be if they're noticed in a hallway or somewhere else, not necessarily on a person or concealed. It would have to be out. Having that software kind of, if you understand the analogy, extends our perimeter a little bit, gives us a little bit more response time as opposed to not. So that's out there. We had a presentation today from a company. We had a presentation 2 or 3 weeks ago from a company. It is something that we are looking into.
So I just have a brief-ish, I hope brief-ish question. We did a lot of work with the bond about the door systems and things. So what else does this do as far as doing things with the door access system software?
Mike will correct me if I get this wrong, but the software that came with those integration systems, we have struggled with since they came in. It hasn't worked as seamlessly as we had wanted. This should fix that problem.
Problem is,
the problem is that I can easily tell you is it's like a fire hose trying to talk to a garden hose. And half the time it doesn't work because there's just too much information being throughput to another software. So think of it, we've got 3 different softwares really that are trying to talk to each other and they just don't. So the new system is one software for all 3 platforms. It was something that was sold to us when we began this, like they would talk to each other. And we have worked on it for 4 years trying to make it happen. It works, but then it breaks. We got to make it work again. So this was a way to fix that. We put it under one platform.
Right. Any other questions of the board? No? So this is an action item. Motion?
I moved.
Go ahead, David.
You want to go?
I move to accept the U.S. Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Office grant of $306,095 to improve camera and door access system software.
Second.
It's been moved by Myra, seconded by David, to accept the U.S. Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Office grant of $306,095 to improve camera and door access system software. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is our physical restraint and seclusion annual report, and we will need after the end of the report to accept the report. And I see that Donna Ravenberg is listed on this.
All right, so annually, we need to provide the annual report of restraints from last year. It's been reviewed and analyzed. And the report shared with you, broken down by specific categories, level of school, program, demographics, and disability and gender. I included also some of the graphs of questions that you've asked in the past regarding trends. So that's also included in the report. And as you know, safety is one of the highest priorities for you and for the district. And so also, you know, provided some information on the MANT training that we do and how that has increased safety, reduced restraints, as well as the training for that being a high priority for us. And we keep close watch on the training of staff, as well as I get the reports as soon as restraints come in. So it's not just an annual review, but also an in the moment review. Any questions?
I do. Sorry, I'll turn on my mic so you can hear me. I did have one question about the number of the total restraints in the district was 67. But then if you add these all together, it's way more. Is that because it's the same students restrained multiple times? Is that
Right. So under the demographic part, you can see there's 37 students who've been restrained. Is that what you're seeing?
What it is it gives the total restraints in the district by level. So for instance, the first line is elementary 53. So that could be a student restrained multiple times. The student count is 37. So is that?
I actually didn't see the 37. So I was including that total of the 37, which made my math not add up. So yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions about this? And this is an action item to accept the report. Okay, Holly, Kathy.
On the unique findings and concerns highlights, it says 59 and it says a decrease in the first two categories, and then an increase in the third category. 59% of students restrained identify as white. Is there any kind of an indicator as to why one particular group went up and two others went down?
I would have to review that question. Can you ask it again though, so that I can make sure I know what I'm looking at?
Just whether or not there were any indicators that, I mean, because this, you know, it works all within the MTSS program, the tiers, and getting kids out from one tier into another. And so this could be, when we're looking at the board goals and our data, what, you know, this, we would hope that this would indicate some success rates with that program. So I would be curious to know how that interacts with each other, but specifically, if we have a decrease in the first two categories, what would cause the third to have an increase? It's just like the anomaly. So I'm just wondering if there's any indication as to why.
Yeah, I just have to look at that deeper to be able to answer, but it's a great question. Thank you.
Sure, Holly.
This is not something I'm sure you can answer tonight, but my question is, we talk a lot about how there's more dysregulation now than there was previously. But the data here, the 7-year trend, is showing that there are less restraints, which is obviously only one of the ways, right, that you are helping students. So is there a reason that that's less? Is it because of an approach that we're taking? Is it because we are just not choosing not to restrain students? In a future report, can you just speak to that? That, like I said, doesn't have to be tonight.
I would like to though respond to one thing and it just in that we do work really, sorry, what's that? No, I thank you, Holly. Appreciate that. We work really hard not to put hands on students for any reason. So it really is the imminent risk of harm to self or others. So it doesn't mean that a student's not dysregulated. Like a student can be dysregulated without being at that imminent risk. So we wouldn't be putting hands on, we'd be using all of our other strategies, similar to Kathy, what you were saying as far as the, you know, the systems of support for a student. All of that's going to happen before this. Thank you.
All right, so this is a motion item to accept the physical restraint.
I was hoping Hollywood, but I move to accept the physical restraint and seclusion review for the 23-24 school year.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Myra, seconded by Holly to accept the physical restraint and seclusion review for the 2023-24 school year. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. So that is passing. Let me get down to this. Next up is the Budget Committee appointment process, and this has Dennis Clegg on it, and looks like we have a few people that would be interested. Otherwise, we need to do a search. So Mr. Clegg, bring us up to speed.
Thank you, Chair Howard. Board Policy DBEA Budget Committee states that the board will declare vacant positions on the Budget Committee and seek to fill those positions. 3 positions are currently identified as ending in June of 2024. That is position 1, previously held by Rebecca Gordon. Position 2, previously held by John Hartsock. Position 3, previously held by Nick McWilliams. The process will be if once the board declares these as vacant, we will reach out to the leaving, get the expiring individuals, see if they are interested in continuing that service. And depending on their response, if there's any that remain unfilled, then we will post the vacancies on district website, district social media, and ask for applications. The applications will be received through December for review at the January board meeting.
Okay. And just as part of the way that we have done it, it follows within this process. But one of the things that we've done is we've done a group interview rather than an individual. And that was very helpful. I thought Myra and I did that, and we got a better chance of meeting and interacting with the members as well. And sometimes we needed like 5 or 6 openings because we had some really great people that applied. So this is an action item to declare the positions as vacant and then approve the appointment process as outlined. And did you say, I was sort of half listening, are these people interested in?
He's going to ask them.
He's going to ask them. Thank you. That's what I thought. Okay.
Felt the positions need to be declared vacant before I reached out to them, so.
Got it. Okay. So it is an action. You have a question?
Clarification of what you said.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't listening. With the people that we have interviewed in the past, you and Myra did it once and then we did it. Did you suggest that we add them to the notification list? Because if not, I would propose that be part of the selection process.
I did not suggest that. I think if they are interested, again, they should come forward. I don't think we want to keep a running list of who has applied before. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm
That's
saying.
exactly
And why
what you're
wouldn't
saying.
we?
They can reapply.
Just
Oh,
keeping track of
absolutely.
it. Who would keep track? I don't have it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I certainly can as vice chair because I know who they were, but whenever we have candidates, they're all exceptional. It's not ever that one is unqualified. And we always say, well, boy, we have to pick one. Well, it's just a small recognition that we really believe what we said when we said we'd love to consider you. So that's just a suggestion for the board to consider.
And so, and I don't think that we need to add that to that because certainly if we know of someone who has been interested before, you can reach out and say, the position is open again. Are you interested? And then leave it at that. But I don't think I want to put something in the process that says that we'd be required to do that. So yeah, so it's just, yes, absolutely. If someone, I know we did talk to some very, very interesting people that again, we needed to have like 4 or 5 openings to be able to get all of them in. So for this evening, at the very least, we need to declare the positions as vacant and then we can go into appointment process.
Blake's trying to race me. I would move to declare position 1, 2, and 3 on the Gresham-Barlow School District Budget Committee as vacant and approve the appointment process as outlined.
See? So it's been moved by Holly, seconded by Blake to declare positions 1, 2, and 3 on the Gresham-Barlow School District Budget Committee as vacant and approve the appointment process as outlined. And I would say one of the things that has come up in several of these conversations with the folks is whether or not there is a way, and it's separate from this, but it's just parking it here so that we remember, is for some of the people to be involved in either a finance committee or be involved in some other way where they really did have an interest in being a part of it. And the budget committee part is very short. And it's very, we talked about it with several of our other finance folks in the past, and it just never quite came to fruition. So that's something that I just want to keep as an option at some point that we have that's not a statutory committee, but it's a committee that delves a little bit deeper into some of the conversation. So that's my comment. Any other comments this evening? Seeing none, all those in favor? So that's unanimous. Thank you. Next up, who's doing this one? Sarah DuBois and Alan, the ever so exciting District Integrated Pest Management Plan. All right.
Good evening again. I am very proud to be sitting here with our Assistant Director of Facilities and IPM Program Coordinator, Alan Crapser, and we are going to speak with you about, I'm sure, the most highly anticipated item on the agenda, integrated pest management. Next slide, please. Oh, you have our clicker, great. This aligns with one of our strategic priorities in safety, and we want to make sure that we talk about how, well, I'm joking, this is a really important part of keeping our schools safe and healthy spaces. And there's a lot of behind the scenes work actually that goes into making sure that our buildings are pest free. So we are required by the state of Oregon from 2009 on to have a plan to address integrated pest management. That's part of what Alan oversees. And one of the things to know about this is really the plan is meant to be about long-term prevention and also using non-chemical methods as often as possible, the most safe and environmentally sound products that we can use while also having things that are very effective. The Oregon Department of Agriculture comes through and does reviews with us on a regular basis. And in the last visit, they had a couple of things that they wanted us to address. In order for us to change those in our plan, we do need board approval. So I'm going to be passing it over to Alan for him to talk to you about that visit.
So we sat down with the folks and they more or less what they did was they found a couple of things that we needed to make some adjustments on. The district team has constantly received several accolades from them as well regarding our current plan and practices. Both Oregon State University and the Department of Agriculture use GBSD and our methods as a model and example for other districts in the state. The current findings have been addressed and our practices to come into compliance. However, any adjustment of the plan, like Sarah had said, needs to go before the board and have your approval. So the couple of things that they found. The finding on the notice side of things was while we have been following the guidelines and posting the properties like we are supposed to, one of the things that we were not meeting was the fact that we weren't reaching out to the entire community of the school or the district and letting them know about what we were doing. So what we've done since then is we've added Parent Square to the postings so that way it reaches not only just the school itself, but the community along with like scouting groups, church groups, and or faith-based groups that are actually using our schools are using that location. We will continue to obviously post the property as required, along with Parent Square. And we've also added a couple other ways for us to be able to track this, one being pest.net, as well as a new spreadsheet that we're using to then track chronologically every application that we have, if any are as needed. And then on the recording side of this, the finding was that the team, we were already maintaining records for all the applications, like I was just kind of mentioning. But like I said, there were a few things that were missing in there as well. One was they want us to have photos of the postings going up and down, meaning when we go to post the property and post the location of the application, they want to see the record or see a record of it. That ensures that we're, again, following the rules. They also wanted us to go beyond just the general or the generic name for whatever we were using. If we go to use Ranger Pro and it's Ranger Pro X, they want to know that it's Ranger Pro X, not just the general name. Though we were recording the EPA number, which that would change with every different chemical, so to speak. Evidence, they also want to see the evidence of the impact and the efficacy. So myself being the IPM program coordinator, as well as our in-district licensed applicator who is on our grounds team. He and I will be the ones that will be now going back to the school, reporting the efficacy of the application, so that way there we have a better idea and better understanding of how it started and then how it ended and what we need to do from there forward. And I guess that is, oh yeah, that's right. Okay. And then for additional further improvements, as always, we seek to improve all of our practices. Goal is, or the goals that are not related to the ODA review include, we have a standard plan provided from the state. That was OSU that created that. And our objective is to improve clarity. We will remove parts of the plan to do that do not really apply to our district or how we apply or how we use these, how we use the IPM plan. Because again, it was very cookie cutter. They built it for a general purpose, and then we will definitely streamline it. So we will be streamlining the low impact pesticide list to only reflect the pesticides that we will use. There's still a lot on that list that we will not use ever. It doesn't apply to us or our district. So with that said, we definitely strive to use products that have a extremely low environmental impact. We will be ensuring that we update our school board annually in an efficient manner. As always, we will seek board approval when changes are made on or with the plan.
So just for clarification, then, it doesn't look like there's been any updates to the plan the board needs to approve, because I don't see this as an action. Oh, no, it is. Sorry. I scrolled down too far. My apologies. Sorry. Sorry, one quick question. The photos of posting going up and down, those have a date and time on them?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
In fact, if we go back a couple slides, that's actually the posting right there that we post on the property, and we write on it the date, time, and they have to go up 24 hours before we can even apply. So there's time for us to go in ahead of time, and then 72 hours after the application is when we're typically able to go back and remove those signs. And then that's when we actually do the inspection to make sure that it was effective.
Any other questions on this? So it is an action item. As I moved up, I see that there is an action item there. So
I move to approve the proposed changes to the district's integrated pest management plan.
It's been moved by Sean, seconded by Holly to approve the proposed changes to the district's integrated pest management plan. Any further questions or discussion? See none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you. Our next item, as a result of the information that we received in our executive session from legal counsel, this action item was on here contingent on the outcome of our discussion, so we will not be taking the action that is being requested by item number 6 on our agenda.
Do we need to officially remove it?
Sarah, do we need to officially remove it?
By vote?
No, I mean, you could have done that when you approved the agenda, but right now you're just saying that you're not taking the action, so you can move forward.
Yeah. All right, so we are into, let's see. An information item, integrated programs annual report, formerly the student investment account, SIA. And let's see where we at. Who is doing this one? Dr. Tripp.
Yes, thank you. Tonight, we are going to do our annual report. It's annual report season for the school district on our integrated programs. And I've talked to you before about the multiple grants that are part of this integrated programs application with the state. So it includes student investment account, high school success, Perkins, which is CTE money, early indicator and intervention systems, and targeted support and improvement. So all those different funds coming together into one complete plan. So there's 2 narrative questions that I'm going to share responses with you tonight. The document's actually linked on the agenda as well for you. And just so you know, as a part of this process, we have narrative questions that we respond to throughout the year quarterly. We report on expenses. We have progress markers that we're updating regularly. And so that's all part of this kind of overall monitoring process. And once we are done presenting to you tonight, we will post it on the website, which is a requirement, and we will submit it to ODE. So like I just said, there's 2 questions that we'll share with you tonight. And I've pretty much covered all of this slide. I will at the end share some connections between your 4 board conditions and some of the expenditures that are reflected in the grants. And just as a point of reference, the integrated program funding was about $13.8 million last year. There we go. So this graphic provides kind of an overview of some of the different components that really are a part of measuring the processes related to these grants. So you can see across the top, well-rounded education, equity advanced, engaged community, and strengthened district systems and capacity. Those are really the 4 big pillars of the grants. And so all of the work is embedded underneath those 4 big categories. In addition to that, we have longitudinal performance growth targets. That's some of the data that you've looked at before. That is the graduation rates, attendance, all of that. That's what those LPGTs are. There are also high school success eligibility requirements and Perkins targets. So this is where some of those individual grants have some individualized rules that we have to follow that are a part of all of this process. I mentioned the progress markers. These are monitors or milestones that ODE has set that just help us kind of monitor our progress each quarter. And they are robust statements, I will say, that we kind of evaluate how much progress we've made in that quarter related to that marker. There's local option metrics, which the first time around with these grants, we did not choose to use. It's optional, so we did not do those. There's quarterly reporting, there's annual reporting, there's auditing for SIA, and there's a performance review that's completed, which is an interview basically with ODE. So all of these components are part of monitoring this large sum of money and how we use it towards those goals that are highlighted there. Specific to SIA is where kind of this annual report progress piece comes in. And so we'll talk a bit about the questions related to that. SIA is the largest grant that's a part of this grouping of grants. And so we'll talk a bit more about that. This is year 2 of the biennium. And so we have some time to kind of review those LPGTs or that data related to that and then reflect on our progress. So that's all of the things that we're going to go over tonight. So here you see the narrative questions. So at the top in the blue, the first part is really about those progress markers and our reflection and looking at our data. And so there's some summarized data there for you to review. In general, our graduation rates have been up a little bit, but we've got some real bright spots to look at related to our students with disabilities and our English learners, or EMLs, in terms of some really nice growth that happened in 22-23. Related to that, potentially, is our 9th grade on track percentages are up a bit too. And what I want to just kind of remind you is that we don't have the graduation data for last year yet. We won't have that until January, but in the data that we do have, we see growth continuing in those areas. That data is just not public for us to share at this point. So continued growth with some really strong numbers from 2 years ago. We are seeing improvements in our regular attendance data. And our 3rd grade reading data for OSAS is down, but we do have other measures with DIBELS and iReady where we're seeing some growth in our reading as well. The other part of this first narrative is to highlight at least one of our outcomes and highlight some of the progress that we've seen. So I'm actually going to highlight 2 different things in this report, one being around inclusive culture and really the family outreach that takes place and some connection that we do to really connect with families. A lot of that's been around attendance and engagement. And so that's been a great opportunity for us. We've done a lot of partnering with culturally specific partners that's really helped us enhance some services. We've had a big focus on the last number of years around student agency and student voice. That's highlighted in this work, and some professional development as well. Another outcome that I'd like to just kind of highlight is our equity-driven MTSS. We've really been working on teaming structures in our schools to really make sure that we have some building level systems that are really focused on the work. We've really focused that work around our core instruction, or our tier 1, kind of that first time instruction that students receive, making sure that it's as strong as it can be, and we're utilizing strategies that really help meet the needs of students. We've done some work with some different data tools, and again, some professional development related to that as well. So the second narrative question that's a part of the annual report is related to barriers or challenges that make the work a little bit difficult at times. And so we've, as a district, really worked on how we can create systems to manage all of this work. It's a number of different grants with a number of different rules for us to follow. And so we've created some teaming structures at the district level to support that work, but also done some nice partnering with our finance team in terms of how we can utilize budget codes and things to help strengthen that work and make it as seamless as possible. We also find that this work requires a lot of reflection, a lot of monitoring, some fidelity checks, and we really are looking for deep implementation of these goals, which takes some time. And then the last barrier that I'd like to bring into the conversation is that there are different requirements that are asked of us at times that can create some challenges for us. So one of those is Senate Bill 3, which is a great opportunity for students in terms of some additional credits for personal finance and some career pathways kinds of work. The challenge is that those programs require some additional FTE. And when we're looking at where that FTE comes from, Sadly, sometimes that comes from elective offerings. So in some ways, we have Measure 98 goals around CTE competing with Senate Bill 3 goals for the same pot of FTE to support the programs. So that's something that we're working really hard on. We have some teams working on that as we speak, and they'll be providing an update to you, I think, in December about what that work is looking like. But just to be really aware about how sometimes we have these competing things that are all great, but impacting one another. So this is just a chart to show your 4 board conditions and some of the expenditures that we have within these grants that kind of align. Many of these, I'm sure we could have conversation, could fall into multiple layers of the conditions, but just to highlight some of the things in terms of we continue to support a lot of counseling in our district, a lot of administrative support, but also a lot of family engagement events to really support connection with our families. And that's really in that safety realm. With belonging, lots of professional development that we're doing, those engagement liaisons that I've mentioned earlier, but also social emotional learning supports that we're working on. Related to opportunities, we provide some of the staffing for our Flex and Ray program. That's how we pay for part of our elementary music FTE is through these grants, STEAM programs, music or elementary PE teachers, credit recovery options, lots of different things related to opportunities for students. And in terms of achievement, there's a number of special educators that are funded through these programs. ALP stands for Adult Living Program. PASS is one of our behavior support classrooms. Special education resource teachers, EAs are all a part of some of that staffing. We have used this money over the last number of years to support some of our curriculum adoptions. It's the primary funder of the new curriculum that we've been purchasing. And then lots of time is purchased to work with our staff. So collaboration that we're doing, professional development that we're doing is all part of that achievement piece. We have instructional coaches that really are supporting our implementation of these academic instructional strategies. And then we've used some of it for instructional technology supports as well. This is not an all-inclusive list, but I hope kind of paints a picture of how the work that we're doing related to teaching and learning, related to these grants, really fits with some of the goals that you have as well. And then lastly, just kind of to summarize, this is the second year of a 4-year plan. So we are required to do kind of an update and resubmit our plan. So we're working through that process right now, doing some needs assessment work, doing some community engagement. Our budget allocations have not been shared with us, so we're just kind of rolling numbers forward while we wait for more finalized information around what that might look like. We will have an update for you in the winter, and probably right after the first of the year. And then in March, we will reapply for the integrated program grants and ask for you to, have an approval of us submitting that at that time. Questions?
I do. I'm aware of the time too, so I'm trying to control it. But from my understanding, so SIA turned into IPP or integrated program, but it's a component of.
The integrated programs has many grants that are part of those programs. So SI is one of the programs that's integrated into this.
Roughly like percentage wise of that 13.8, how much is SIA dollars versus grant dollars?
Well, it's all grant, but about 75%, I think was what we saw in our chart today.
Okay, and I'm just trying to get a magnitude in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those grants are state funded.
Some of them are federal.
Some of them are federal. But in our reporting to the state, we submit kind of an expectation that we're going to pursue a federal grant.
Yes, the money comes through the state. So basically, when they talk about these integrated programs, what's a little bit misleading is what's really integrated is the piece up there, bullet number 2, around doing needs assessment and community engagement. All of these different individual grants require that. And so what they're trying to streamline for us is that we can have a needs assessment process and community engagement work that we do that informs all of those grants, so that we're not having to do 6 different sets of needs assessment, 6 different sets of community engagement. For example, the piece that's a bit misleading about the integration of the grants is that you still have individual rules for each of those grants.
Okay, and then just one more, and this is sort of floated to the board. Senate Bill 3, I guess, when did that come into effect?
Last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there, as we approach this legislative session, are you aware of advocacy efforts to fund it? Okay.
I have not, but that's hopefully what we'll hear about Thursday when we're at the legislative update. So yes, Thursday is tomorrow. It is. If I just say Thursday though, it just is like out in the future. I had a thought. Go ahead.
With the OSAS data, and I know there's options to opt out of that, is that the fact that that's down have any correlation with participation being down in that test?
I don't believe so is my simple answer to that. It could be. Participation rates across our district are actually pretty strong. That's something we've been working on. We do have some pockets where there's less going on. Yeah.
There's on one of the slides, it was slide 5. Can you explain, because the 4-year graduation rates are up by 1.3, but the graduation rates for student with disabilities up 13%, English learners, EMLs up 9. Are those numbers incorporated into the 4% grad rate?
1.3%.
Into the 4.
The 4 years.
Yes. So overall, we were up the 1.3 for that year, but we had specific focal groups that showed more growth. So when they look at our data, they disaggregated into those different groups so we could see that there was growth in those areas.
And so the question that comes to mind is the, I mean, I think we always want to try to bridge the gaps in the areas that we need to, but we don't want to take away from keeping the trajectory that we were on with all of them.
Right.
And so is that part of why then, I mean, is 1.3 normal? Is it a little lower than we'd like, certainly, but is it lower than we have seen in the past?
I thought you might ask some specifics about graduation rates, so I have more data available that I can share with you. Overall, our graduation rates are calculated at the state level with MEWA's graduation rates embedded in them. And so with MEWA's data, our overall graduation rate was 76%. When we look at just Gresham-Barlow, our schools were at 81%. Gresham High School was 76%, Barlow was 86%, and Springwater Trail was 89%. So you get a sense of we're right in that 80s for graduation rates, which we still have room to improve. Yeah.
It's just interesting and always looking at that balance between, you know, the pull from one to the other, which then gets into my Senate Bill 3 question on slide 8. Because you say that these are the questions that are asked as part of the report. And so therefore it is being reported back to the state that they are putting us in unfunded mandate. Obviously, term comes to mind. But to Blake's point, we're telling them that they're putting us in a position of having for us to find the resources to do these great things. So I had a thought, and I'm not sure where this might come in. Maybe I'll just have to go down and talk to the legislatures myself. But in the voters pamphlet, you have to put a cost of whatever it is that you're proposing. And I think that rather than debate all these individual things, but if the legislature had to put in a cost to school districts of what they're proposing, that would be, at least they would know what they're asking of school districts. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's not accidental that I've included this in our annual report. I have a lot that I'd be happy to share with you about this. I think the challenge, or where I think the argument from the state might come, is which is true, like we're getting SIA funds. We can use SIA funds to fund the 5 FTE that it would take to implement Senate Bill 3. We already are using those funds for other things that we have deemed as important to the success of our students. And not that Senate Bill 3 requirements are not important to our kids, they are, but it's at the cost of something else. I mean, something else has to go away. But I think the state's argument could be that we do give you money, you just need to use it for this and this and this, which is one of the challenges of all of these grants, is that they all come with different strings and rules attached.
I want to make just a point, not a question, and that is I want to recognize Dr. Klinger's attention to the application of all of this stuff to our board goals, because that's a brand new program that we've just implemented and probably an unfunded mandate for our district leadership team. And you've really just taken it and been very diligent and intentional, and it shows, and I just applaud you.
Thank you.
Any other questions about that? So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that Thursday.
Tomorrow.
Do you have another question, Blake? Are you good? Okay, Tracy, anything else?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, all right. So I believe we are getting down close to the end here. Next up is our monthly financial report of September 30, 2024. And we have that in our packet. It's not anything, we don't have to adopt it or anything. It's in here for information. Were there any questions about it or anything that you want to point out for us, Mr. Clegg?
Chair Howard, excuse me, Chair Howard. We're getting into more stable conditions as school's now in session. We have a large spending period now has passed. Teachers are back in. Our salaries now are fully encumbered throughout the year. So the numbers now should become fairly consistent throughout the rest of the year, pending any unanticipated spikes. So going forward, I don't anticipate any surprises. And if they come up, I will definitely let you know.
Thank you. Any other questions on the financial report? Okay. So we are down to announcements. And we have coming up on November 20th will be our regular board work session at 6 p.m. in the partnership room of the Center for Advanced Learning. And on December 4th, 2024, James's last business meeting, regular board business meeting at 7 p.m. Council Chambers, Public Safety and Schools Building. And with that, I believe we are adjourned before 9 o'clock. Thank you.